Brazilian Academy of Medicine and the Brazilian Academy of Science for the invitation to be here. For me, it's an honor, and also it's a challenge because I will have like to follow some of the ideas of the previous speakers in the area of surveillance and how to use the data and knowledge that came from surveillance systems to reach the goal of reducing the burden of disease. How to use the data of surveillance systems to help us reducing the burden of cardiovascular disease or all of the title of the presentation is Surveillance Systems, Key Element to Fight Cardiovascular Disease. And how it works? Very simple. Okay. I think it is not possible to switch off the lights here. Thank you very much. I like to begin with, I am from Venezuela, and this is a graph of mortality cases from 1995 to 2008 in males and females. And as you see, the struggle impact of the growth of mortality in Venezuela and the striking difference between male and female. As you see, this is cardiovascular disease at the first level, then ischemic heart disease and myocardial infarction at the end. We see a very slow increase in the number of cases of cardiovascular disease in general, and it contrasts with the clear increase in mortality at the general terms. This difference is mainly due to violence. This is the clear case. And to say that at the beginning, the main cause of year of productive life loss in Venezuela is violence, not cardiovascular disease. And because violence is a non-communicable disease, at least in terms of the infectious thing, it's a social communicable disease. But let's have in mind that we have to consider violence as a social disease. Well, talking about the mortality rates in cardiovascular disease, this is the general mortality rates, the ICD-10 00-99 or cardiovascular disease. In the last decade, we have all observed a reduction in the rates for male and females, and that is the case in most countries in the world. So in that sense, we follow the mainstream in Venezuela. So our previous speakers has been talking about how to avoid premature cardiovascular disease, or in other words, how to reduce the years of productive life lost due to cardiovascular diseases. And most of the people are talking about this set of advice. We offer this advice at our clinical settings and also at public health scenarios. Keep overweight and obesity low. Keep fat and salt intake low. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Never use tobacco. This is a very important issue. Or quit it as soon as possible. Do exercise as often as possible. Check your blood pressure and glucose level. And if you have high blood pressure, control it and control your diabetes. This is a standard set of recommendations that we hear here about talking about our previous speaker in general. So let's see how we are scoring Venezuela in these terms. Do exercise as often as possible. Are we sure that this very well recognized recommendation is being followed by the population? Because we always talk about that. but we don't know whether the population is actually doing it. And I choose one surveillance system. It's called the Global School Health Surveillance System. And I go in that, I choose that because these are kids. And if we want to reduce the burden of cardiovascular disease, our previous speakers also told us that this disease is the risk factors for this disease, for premature cardiovascular disease, are established in childhood. So here is the prevalence of elementary school students in the state of Lara, Venezuela, that are active at least 60 minutes, 5 or more days of the last week. And we see that the prevalence is very low, very low. And the younger people, grade 7, that is about 12, 13 years of age, the less than 1 in 10 male are actually doing this very restricted definition of active life, 60 minutes of exercise 5 times a week. Remember, these are teenagers. And in the best is in grade 9, about 15 years old, that 1 in 4 is doing that. So in that sense, we fail. Our children, our teenagers are not doing exercise. What are they doing? Well, this is the prevalence of elementary school students that spend 3 or more hours watching TV or chatting or playing games on the computer. This is the prevalence increased to 35%. So double of the people that are actually doing exercise, they are chatting and doing activities that are not physically active. Okay. Eat fruits and vegetables every day. We always say that, right? This is the prevalence of elementary school students that occasionally or not at all eat fruits and vegetables in the previous year, 30 days, excuse me. Half, about 4 in every 10 students never eat fruits and vegetables or eat it occasionally. About 40% of the students. And in some cases, almost half of the students don't have that access to food, or they are not presented that food at home. So we fail again with this issue. Avoid overweight or obesity. But this is the prevalence of students that are obese, and we are using the definition of percentiles, the 95% percentile of the spectrum of the kids, and we see that about 5% of the people are obese, about 13% are at risk of being obese. So if we add these two, we end up at every 2 out of 10 students are either at risk of being obese or already obese. These figures are much better than some others that we can find in places like the United States or Europe. Again, we are concerned because this is a very important issue for, as you all know, it's a ring in the bell for a future epidemic of diabetes. Now, let's switch to adults. This is a surveillance system we have been doing for many years in the state where I live. It's called Estudio de Salud Cardiovascular del Estado Lara, a cardiovascular health survey of the Lara state in Venezuela. And this is 2008, the full bars, and the empty bars are 1987. That is about 20 years. And look at this figure. Female and male. The prevalence almost tripled for male and doubled for female. In these 20 years, the prevalence of obesity has increased 2 to 3 folds. This is a very important figure. You say, well, it's just 20% of the population, but it's the trend. It's the increase in the West. So again, somehow we are failing in that regard. Check your blood pressure and glucose level, and if you are a blood pressure controlling. Well, this is 3 different surveys, and this is a surveillance system. Listen, notice that I make a difference between surveys and surveillance systems. Are different things. Here, our last state surveillance system found that in 87 we have 52% of prevalence of high blood pressure, and actually went down to 30%. And from 39, almost 40 to 23.7%. These are good news. But our interpretation of that is because we have been doing a cardiovascular program for almost 40 years. And that is the impact, some sort of that initiative.